Welcome back to Stories from the River. I'm your guest host, Tyler Trill. I'm a Senior Communications Manager here at Broad River Retail. Joining me today are two directors from our IT and BI department, Robert Ferguson and Tim Sobkowiak. Welcome to Stories from the River, a show in which we go behind the scenes at Broad River Retail. Robert, can you tell me your position and your role here at Broad River Retail?
Certainly. I'm Associate Director of IT, Infrastructure, and User Services, our help desk.
And what does that ultimately mean? What does an IT Director of Infrastructure do?
So we make sure that the computers can talk to the network so that ultimately we can make sales and talk to the internet, do what we need to do, which is business.
Mm-hmm. And Tim, what is your role here at the River?
I'm the Associate Director of Retail Technology and IT Project Manager.
So when we talk about retail IT, what does that focus on?
It makes sure that the people can talk to the computers. So
Okay.
the computers can talk to the networks. But it's essentially any technology that we're using within our stores and dealing with our customers. So you think about the systems that we use to create orders, the systems that we use to take payments,
Sure.
Ordering product, or the systems that our representatives use to communicate with guests or to other companies.
All right, and today we're talking about cybersecurity, keeping yourself and your data safe, your company's data safe, and ultimately, what is phishing and things of that nature. So I'll kick it off with the question that I just asked. What is phishing?
Phishing is trying to get your credentials, or it's a way to compromise your security so that ultimately you can profit from it.
Cybersecurity experts indicate that there's been a 200% rise in overall phishing attacks in the second half of 2024 compared to the first 6 months of 2024. Most of those coming from linked-based phishing attempts. So what is a linked-based phishing attempt? Is that what we're seeing through email?
We're seeing a lot of that through email. Essentially, it's where you're getting an email from somebody where there's a sense of urgency. You've got to do this now. We've got to get this corrected. Your information is in danger. So you've got to click this link and correct whatever the problem is we're telling you about.
And email is a very common way, but I think everybody now is being exposed to the SMS version, the text versions. Everybody I talk to has gotten at least one text message saying that they owe money on a toll.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they've got to click that link in order to take care of that scenario. So there's a lot of different avenues that the bad actors can use to try and get your attention to get that information.
It's funny that you bring that up. I was one of those people that was receiving that text message, and it almost got me because there was a time when I was receiving those text messages that I had unpaid tolls, admittedly, not on purpose, but they were sending them to the wrong address. But, I was like, man, I thought I paid this. They almost got me to click their link. So most of these links, though, they're from new kind of created URLs. Why is that, and what makes those kind of effective for phishing attacks?
From a security side, a new URL is something that likely hasn't been scanned by other services. Mm-hmm. One of our tools through email is the gateway will scan your email and check the link and actually go to the website and see if it's a valid website, see if it's been corrupted. 0 days are ones that haven't been scanned yet. So, or they're time-based bombs, essentially. It may be good when it's first checked, but in 30 minutes it may not be.
So as we mentioned earlier, phishing has evolved beyond just kind of suspicious emails. What are some of these modern ways that these kind of bad actors are trying to get your information and click on these links?
We talked about spear phishing. We've talked about a little bit about text-based phishing. There's QR codes that could be used nefariously. Remember back during COVID, nobody gave out menus at a restaurant, so they'd have a little flag or something with a QR code. It's easy to go up and replace that with something that's just a little different.
Sure.
Say, create your account. So you put in your username and create an account, and it's probably something you've already used before. So now you've given your email address and likely password for things that you normally use away to a bad actor.
There's also the possibility or the increased likelihood of voice impersonation, especially using AI technologies. So you'll get phone calls from people who you think is somebody asking for that information that you know and you trust, you deal with on a regular basis, but that's actually an actor, or more specifically, an actor controlling a computer in order to give you that reassurance to get your information.
The more we even talk about it, and I think there's an increased awareness amongst us all about phishing and phishing attempts from folks. Why are they still effective? I mean, what are they? What is this? I guess kind of the psychological effects that the people on the other side are using.
They're using a combination of things. The most effective one is the sense of urgency. If I send you an email and say, "Hey, your money is in jeopardy," money is important to me. It's important to most of us. Bad actors want you to click the link so that they can now take your credentials, your information, and control your money, which you think you're protecting.
I also think that part of this is the human condition, where we may think that we're either too smart to fall for these things, which is not always the case, or some people may think I'm just a low-level employee, or I don't have any money in my account. Why are people going to attack me? And so they have that false sense of security, and they fall for those attacks.
It's easy for a bad actor to take a day one employee, a day one memory maker, and get their credentials, and then raise those credentials to a domain administrator level so that essentially you have the keys to the castle. You can get whatever information from whatever device on the network that you want. So there's your customer data, there's your corporate data. It's all there for the taking.
What do these folks want with that data?
There may be driver's license information, PII, home address information, what you've purchased. They're looking for ways to get credit card data, social security numbers.
The idea is that they're getting valuable data so that they can sell that off.
Yeah.
It's not only just the idea of a ransomware attack where you're hijacking something and trying to get payment from that. There's an additional aspect to that attack of now they have all this information that other bad actors can use in their work to essentially spread the attacks out there.
You guys have any examples of, I guess, some people actually ultimately falling for this, and maybe some of the consequences that they faced once they did fall for it?
It was a SMS attack, spear attack, where the person was asked to get gift cards for the owner of a company. And this person lost $3,000 of her personal money because they couldn't use the corporate card they were given. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And by the time that police were involved, the money was gone off the gift cards.
Too late, yeah.
It's too late.
Well, I mean, what are some of those gut checks that people can employ if they think they've encountered a phishing attack?
First thing you want to do is remember, we're not curing cancer. We're not doctors. We're not saving lives. So take a beat, take a second, and breathe. Look at it and just say, why is somebody asking me for my 401k information? Does this person work there?
Yeah.
Is that part of their job?
One of the things that's been helpful for me personally is if you're getting an email or a text message or any sort of communication from something that you don't easily identify who that is, the assumption is this is illegitimate. Mm-hmm. So start with the mindset of this is not what they purported to be. And then use that time, like Robert said, to take a breath, ask those questions. And then you will find that as you go further into those emails or those communications, you can see those common things of creating urgency, putting your money at risk so that you have to answer these things. And that mindset being more cautious in the outset is much more safe than assuming that everything that you get is going to be legitimate.
If someone suspects they've encountered a phishing attempt, what are the immediate steps they should take to protect themselves or their organization?
Report it immediately. Call your help desk. Report the email. If you have a system like our system, report it through your Outlook client. Let somebody know. Let us start an investigation. It's not embarrassing. It's important.
But you want to report it in the right manner. Mm-hmm. Robert and I were just talking earlier. You can look at it this way. If you think that you're sick and you go to somebody and go, what do you think that is? What have you done there?
Exactly.
You've just spread that, or you've given the opportunity to spread that. So forwarding emails that you think are suspicious to individuals is, you have the right intentions, but it's the wrong way to solve the problem. So as Robert said, not only do companies like ourselves use software that you can allow to report phishing or junk or spam, but Microsoft Outlook has some of those features built in already in Defender. So there are ways out there for you to notify the appropriate people that there are problems without spreading that information along. And that goes a step further in helping to make those systems learn. The whole reason, one of the reasons that we want you to report that through there is because a lot of those technologies are then going to get that information and learn from it, so that in the future, if they get contacted in the same method by the same bad actor, it will never get to you.
In the unfortunate event that a phishing attack is successful, what are the potential consequences for an individual's personal information and or an organization's network security?
There's a lot of things that can go wrong. So the best way to think about it is what do you use that email address and that password for? If you give those up, potentially all of those services that you use, Netflix, Amazon, your bank, your mortgage, your car payment, all of those things are now potentially in bad actors' hands. For an organization, someone could take down the network. Someone could take over or take your customer data. Someone could take anything at this point. It's an open door for a bad actor to come dancing in and do a supermarket sweep, pull everything off the shelves.
Tim, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think Robert put it very well. I mean, essentially, you've given them the keys to the castle. We as IT professionals or as individuals outside of IT can do all that we can. We can purchase all the software that's out there to put the best locks in place. But if you hand somebody the keys, all of that's for naught. So it's a huge amount of risk if you're not cautious about that.
And I mean, we're a retail company, but even beyond that, even if you're not in the retail world, what are the effects of business continuity that these attacks can have on an organization?
It'll shut you down, depending upon what it is that they're trying to do. There's hundreds of articles right now in the news about ransomware attacks. School systems, hospitals, governments, other companies, where they have just lost functionality because those bad actors have gained access. They've locked everybody else out, and now they're holding that information for ransom. So you think of a company, you're not doing business for however long it is until you get to a place where you feel safe.
In today's interconnected world, I mean, we're so dialed in with our phones and digitally across all avenues of our life. Why is cybersecurity no longer the responsibility of just an IT department within a business or an organization?
There's a lot of situations that the IT can't control.
Sure.
We can control the computers and we can control the network, but the end user, the memory maker who's controlling those can still make mistakes. And phones are part of it. Personal phones, Androids, iPhones, they're not secure or as secure as you may think. I mean, they're as hackable as a computer. It's up to everyone because bad actors are attempting to gain your credentials. So they're coming towards the end user who's a lot of times doesn't take a moment to think. They don't take a moment to read into an email or a text and see if it's legitimate.
And these things tend to bleed through with what we think is a work-life balance.
Sure.
Especially with those of us who live on our phones, which is pretty much everybody now. You will use your phone for both work and personal information. Companies such as ourselves have acceptable use policies which say that you shouldn't be using your work devices for personal and vice versa. But to Robert's point, end users are human, and those things do tend to bleed in. So you may use your work device to log into your Amazon account. You're sharing that information along. At the same time, people are creatures of habit, and a lot of us have the bad habit of reusing passwords. So you may be using a password on one site for your personal information, but guess what? They may be a credential for your work information. So just because you may be safe in your work environment, if you're not safe in your home environment, you could be putting your work environment at work and vice versa.
You just touched upon it, but I'm going to ask it anyways. What role do cell phones play in the landscape of phishing attacks? I mean, are they making it easier or harder?
Specifically for an email or text, cell phones make it harder because if you're looking at an email, you're seeing the display name, Robert Ferguson, Tyler Trill. You're not seeing the email address, which is R. Ferguson or T. Trill at whatever domain you're at. So that's one way that they'll sneak in. There may be an email that says it's coming from Robert Ferguson to Tyler Trill, but it may be no reply at igotcha.com. It says my name, but it didn't show you where it's actually coming from.
With the advent of kind of advanced hacking tools, why is email still the most effective way for cyber criminals to get it to people?
It works.
It works. It's easy. It's probably the most cost-effective way to do it. Hacking as a service is a real thing. Phishing as a service. Bad actors will rent server time, rent email addresses, or buy lists, lists of names and email addresses, and throw it into a hacking as a service account. It's a real thing.
What are ways that organizations can stay ahead in protecting, their assets in personnel in today's world?
There's two ways to do this, and they're both very important. We're both very passionate about this. The first thing that users can do within an entire organization is keep your devices up to date. Everybody gets those flashes on their devices that say you have an update ready, or they get something from us saying it's time to update your computer,
or it's time to change your password,
which is even more important. Those are there for a reason. Those updates are there not only just to make sure that your system is working correctly, but through those updates, those different programs have probably identified holes in their security that can be patched through them. The second part of this is education. I think I touched on this on the earlier episode about how we can put together all of the shiniest, toughest looking products. We can create a fortress mindset. But if our people aren't educated and they don't know what to look for or how to be cautious, then all that is for naught. You can let somebody write in unknowingly. So you really need to be cognizant of how you're educating your people, what they need to be looking out for, how they can report that, and to keep a very good line of communication going between all of the end users in all of our departments and the IT department.
So remember that, folks. You get that message. Don't skip it for 24 hours, 48 hours. Update your computer. I'm guilty of it. I'll admit. Even with the IT guys on the podcast, I'm very sorry. We talked about it a little bit earlier in this episode, but Tell us more, like strong passwords and multi-factor authentication. How does that contribute in defending against phishing?
Multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication, whatever you know that by, it's
kind of the bane of my existence today.
Well, you know, IT's not here to make it tough.
I know.
It's IT is here to make it difficult for the bad actor, not for the end user. I'm sorry if it's making it a little tough on you. Multi-factor is based upon who you are, what you know, and what you have. Mm. If you only have two of those things, you don't have the full picture. A bad actor likely has or can get your username and your password, but they don't have your phone.
Sure.
That's where the extra security comes in. Your authenticator will bring up a message, hey, are you trying to log in? Type in this number.
Yeah.
You know, so that just adds another layer of security upon the network that you're trying to access.
And with complex passwords, there's brute force attack methods that hackers will use to gain access to check on passwords. These are not people sitting at the other end of a terminal typing 1 or 2 or 3. They have programs out there, and those programs will attempt thousands of passwords. So the more complex you have your passwords, so the longer it is, the more special characters that you have, the more time it takes for them to try and crack that. So adding to that layer of complexity makes it more difficult for them.
So a statistic I heard not long ago is that 9 characters takes about 3 minutes to crack. 12, 14 characters takes hours. So the more characters you use will make the computer work longer, and they'll pass on that. It's all about time and money.
Yeah.
For the bad actor. They want to get in quick, they want to get in fast, and do whatever they're going to do. So if your password takes them hours rather than minutes, they're going to pass on it.
That's a great tip. 12 characters. I'm counting my passwords in my head right now, making sure that they hit the 12 mark here. So, say another furniture retailer's watching this episode, or another small to medium-sized business, is watching this episode. What's the number one thing organizations can do today to stay ahead in protecting their assets and people?
Education.
Yeah, education. It really is. The end users, and we're all end users in some respects, are the weakest link in the chain. Mm-hmm. But
Absolutely.
If all of your end users understand the importance of maintaining secure passwords or being vigilant when looking at emails, if all of them understand their roles within the company, that makes the company more secure.
A smaller company is easier to secure than a larger company. Mm-hmm. So yeah, education is the biggest thing, and being able to identify the main players.
Got it. All right, we'll wrap it up with this question. What's the number one thing for end users, just for your everyday person watching this, that you want them to know when it comes to staying safe in today's digital world?
The one thing I'd like for them to really know is that we're here to help. That's really our job. We want to make sure that we're safe. We want to make sure that we're compliant. We want to make sure that it's secure. So we're here to help. If it sounds, like everybody gets frustrated, but this is not the easiest job. We know retail is not the easiest job. So everyone, we're here to help. That and reboot your device. Reboot your device.
Yes.
Robert, I keep Microsoft Authenticator on my phone for you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Tim, how about you?
I'm going to hammer education again. Mm-hmm. I think it's one thing for us as a company to say we need to educate our end users so that they're protecting us as a company and our assets. But as individuals, that message applies even more so. Because as end users, you may not have a Robert or a Tim or any number of IT professionals out there that can assist you if things go wrong.
Yeah.
It really is on you to do that homework yourself and to make yourself and your family and your friends and all of your investments safe too.
All right. Well, guys, I appreciate everything that you've taught us today. I think there's a lot of good nuggets for everybody that could take away from this episode. So really appreciate your time today. Thank you for watching Stories from the River. Make sure you subscribe, like the episode, and stay connected for more content from Broadway Retail. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to Stories from the River. To check out more episodes, visit storiesfromtheriver.com. To watch this episode, go to youtube.com/@storiesfromtheriver. Join us again next week, and remember to like, rate, and subscribe to the podcast.